A team that hasn't had much success before, having never won a national championship while also being 5-9 in bowl games since 1999. After a season where Purdue went 0-10 in Big Ten Conference games, they need a new spark to rebuild this program. And looking at the roster here, the 8 best players on this roster are all seniors, so this team just doesn't have any future. So we're going to need a good recruiting class and a good transfer portal if we want to have a chance at winning Purdue's first Big Ten championship since joining the Big Ten in 1953. Now, taking a look at this roster here, there's not much to be excited about. As I said earlier, the top 8 guys are all seniors, and the guy after that, the sophomore receiver, we don't meet his brand deal. So there's not much to look for with this team. None of these guys are going to be on the roster probably past this season. The best players are all going to leave. Maybe even the worst players are probably going to leave. So with a good recruiting class and a good transfer portal, I don't see why we can't turn this program around in 1 to 2, maybe even 3 years. Before we get into this rebuild, I've got to set some goals for myself. First one, the obvious one. We have to win a national championship. The whole point of this rebuild is to get Purdue their first national championship. So in the 6 years that we have to get it done. The second one we have is to get a Heisman winner. Purdue has never had a Heisman winner before. They've had multiple runner-ups, but they need a winner. And the third one is we need to break all the school records. Passing yards, rushing yards, receiving yards, defensive records, all of them need to be broken by the end of this rebuild. Now, there is a restriction to this challenge. I'm only going to have 6 years to complete all the goals, otherwise I fail this rebuild. Now I'm going to set up my board, and I'll show you guys afterwards. And after some time, I've set up my recruiting board with nothing but 4 and 5 stars, mainly just because I'm looking for the players who aren't going to get offers from the big-time schools that they're looking for, and maybe I can come in with full house of offers and full house of hours and take those recruits from them. I'm probably not going to get all 35 players on this board, and so I'll look to the transfer portal at the end of the season to get the rest of the players that I need to fill out the positions. Now, going into week 0 here, I want to take a look at our schedule. As in this rebuild, I will only play the rivalry games. So here, week 4 against Notre Dame, week 6 against Illinois, and week 14 against Indiana. And throughout the rest of this rebuild, I will only play those rivalry games, and I will only play playoff games. And the next update will either be a recruit signing with our school, or it'll be the Notre Dame game, where we'll jump into that and play the game. Now, going into week 4 here against Notre Dame, we're stuck at 1 and 2. As we took an L to Ball State in our first week and then ended up getting a win the next week against FCS. But then we had a humiliating loss against USC, 50-7. Not looking good for us, but we weren't expected to win this season. As taking a look at recruiting, we're first on everybody's board except for this 5-star athlete who I just added because only Minnesota's given him an offer so far, and they're not even putting hours into his recruitment so far. So might as well take a shot at it, but it's time to get into the Notre Dame game. All right, and heading into the Notre Dame game here, we are playing at home, so there's a chance of getting an upset. But as I said, we're probably not going to win in the first year, maybe second year, as this team just isn't good enough to play against Notre Dame. Looks like they're going to try and kick the field goal. And it'll be right down the middle, and it's 3-0 Notre Dame. And we're stopping Notre Dame here early, but got to put points back up on the board as that kick is good. Changing the plays up. Send our running back out in motion. We'll dump it off here to the tight end. The tight end, Walker, is in the end zone for a touchdown. And here on 2nd and 15, Notre Dame will set up three receivers to the right, a tight end to the right as well. He'll roll out to the right, and we get a pick. And we will take our points and go up by 4 points. Maybe? Yes. Notre Dame driving here as they'll look to throw. And the fumble recovered by Purdue. And here on 2nd and 1, they'll motion a guy out to the other side. And Jeremiah Love We'll take the ball, get a first down, spin off another guy, and end up in the end zone. As on second down, we'll drop back to pass, dump it off to Horton Jr., and Horton Jr. is able to get in the end zone for a Purdue touchdown, and we take the lead back. And as we're getting to the end of the half here, Notre Dame refuses to use their final timeout as they're probably going to wait until they can kick a field goal. Well, RPO here is they'll find a man on the outside, and he's just right into the end zone for a Notre Dame touchdown, and they take the lead here before the end of the half. I don't know how good this kicker is, so we'll see. It's a perfect kick, and it's right down the middle. And we tie this game up as they went from poor field position. They'll dump it off to the running back, and he'll break a tackle and end up in the end zone. Here with about a minute left in the game, they're here second and goal, looking to take a two-score lead. They'll dump it off to Jeremiah Love, and he breaks a tackle and is into the end zone. And Notre Dame here will take a knee, as it was a fairly close game up until the very end. But Notre Dame does take it down in the first year of this rivalry. We will fall 34-20. All right, and heading into this game here against Illinois, it's become one of those must-win games at the start of the season. As one, this is a rivalry, and two, if we lose this game, our chance of getting bowl eligible is basically out of the window, as we don't have very many easy games left on the schedule, and this isn't a very good team. So we need to win this one against Illinois to bring our chances of winning a bowl game and even getting to a bowl game, bring that back into the picture. And we'll start here the second play of the game by going with a run to the right side. As there is a hole, he'll find it, and he'll get deeper into the field as he will break another tackle, and he might go all the way to the end zone as long as he can beat the last guy, and he will. As on the second play of the game, we're in the end zone for 6 for Illinois. As the kicker looks to redeem himself after that first miss, and that one's right down the middle. And after a play where we ran into our own lineman, we'll hopefully take our free 3 points, as that kick is right down the middle. 11 seconds left here to work with. Try and find a man over the middle of the field. Oh, that was forced into coverage. That was horrible by me. I panicked. I didn't need to throw it there. And that looks like it's going to be a pick 6. That's horrible. First and goal here for Illinois. And they'll drop back to pass here on first down. They'll find the running back on the flat, and he's into the end zone. And Illinois takes their first lead of the game. And that's a first down. As this rush here hopefully can get us to the other side of the field. So we try to get them to jump off, but they won't. We'll find a lane up the middle. Can we get to the outside? Yes, we can. Maccabee has a lane. Touchdown, Purdue. It'd probably be very unlikely that they wouldn't kick a field goal here if they get stuffed, as they'll go with an RPO, and he's wide open for a touchdown. Do we have a wide open man? It looks like we do. It's Walker. Walker is going to the end zone. Can he beat 17? He will. The kick to win the game for Purdue. Get their first Big Ten Conference win this season. The kick is up. It looks good. It feels good. And it's right down the middle as Purdue gets their first Big Ten win of the season against Illinois. And what a massive rivalry win that is for us, as that is our 49th win all time in this series, as our running back Maccabee had over 200 yards rushing. What a performance from this Purdue offense. And coming off a huge win against Illinois, we get our first commit. It's the 4-star running back out of Colorado. And it looks like nothing else happened, but we have our first recruit to Purdue. It's a 4-star running back. We also won Big Ten Offensive Player of the Week after Maccabee rushed for over 200 yards against Illinois. And I will update you guys once we reach Week 14 against Indiana. Now heading into week 14 here, we are 3-8, so it's impossible for us to become bowl eligible. However, it is a rivalry game against Indiana, so we need a big, big win here this week. Now, we may not be able to come bowl eligible. However, I do have a positive update when it comes to recruiting, as we do have 5 4-stars here who have committed and a possible 5-star who could commit after this week because of that week 14 visit. So if we can get a win here against a top 10 Indiana team, he could be heading our way by the end of this week. The rest of recruiting, there's not much else. I've got a 3-star here, another 4-star, 4-star, and 4-star. It's not looking great for some of those recruiting battles, but it's still okay. We got the transfer portal, and all that matters right now is we need to win this Indiana game. So we're going to head into the game. All right, here we go. As I've been saying since week 1, the biggest game of the season, not because this could get us a bowl game, but because it's against Indiana. It's a rivalry game. This game would be huge for our confidence going into next season, as winning this game could bring in a ton of recruits to this program. But we'll be faced with a 3rd and 2 here for Indiana, as our stadium pulse is as high as it's been all season. As he's got a man in the flat, but can he get it there? No. He's going to get it to number 80, and 80's just going to blow right by the tackler and right into the end zone as Indiana strikes for 3 on the opening drive. If we can get it there. And it's right down the middle. 3rd and goal from the 2. Looks like they'll give it off to the running back, and there's a hole up the middle for an Indiana touchdown. We weren't able to stop Indiana. Can they stop us? No. Merriweather's in the end zone for a touchdown. Can they get in once again? 1st down, they'll give it off to the running back, and they're in the end zone. This field goal would be huge if we can cut it to an 8-point game, and it's right down Broadway. Mendoza over 260 yards passing this game, and we're not even in the 4th quarter. As they'll motion out the running back. Are they looking for the flats? No, they're looking for the wheel route, and he's wide open for a touchdown. Here on 4th and goal, we need to convert to stay alive. 4th and goal. We've got a man wide open in the end zone, touchdown. A strong point for Indiana today. They've converted on almost every 3rd down. Can we get a stop? They'll look to pass. They'll go to the end zone, touchdown. On 2nd and 8, they'll move a bunch of guys around. See where they go from here. Drop back to pass. He's got a man wide open in the end zone. And here's 2nd and goal. We'll just go with a quarterback power. Up the middle. Brown. End zone. That's just awesome. The dude jumps over a 4-story building to make that catch. 3rd and 10. They'll drop back to pass again. Looks like everything's bottled. They're going deep. And of course it's caught. And after nearly losing his legs, they'll go to the end zone. 3rd and 4 inside the red zone. We'll motion out the back. We'll scramble. There's a wide open hole. Touchdown, Purdue. 3rd and 11. They'll draw back to pass. There's a wide open running back, and he's going in for a touchdown. Oh, man. Too bad his defense is giving up 400 yards themselves. We'll dump it off. Johnson, touchdown. Go. Now, up to this point, we've had a very solid recruiting class, as we've had a ton of 4-stars and even a 5-star commit to our program. However, we're going to need a very, very good transfer portal if we even want to keep this team alive and competitive in the Big Ten, because we lost a ton of people to entering the transfer portal over the offseason, and we've got to replace them with even better players, as we've got a bunch of four-star backs here, a couple guys on the line, both offensive and defensive, and a ton of help in the secondary, as that was our big weakness over the season, as our secondary was probably the worst in the Big Ten and maybe even the worst in the country. So we've got a bunch of guys here who can help fill those roles, and we've got a bunch of three-stars who can help carry this team. The only problem with that is heading into week 2, we've been locked out by most of those players. However, heading into week 3, I was able to find a bunch of new recruits and only got locked out by one of them. But now things are looking better. We've are in less competitions. We're more likely to get these recruits, and I believe that we can fill out a full recruiting board by the end of the transfer portal. And after 4 weeks of the transfer portal and off-season recruiting, I've put together a full board of 35 commits from both the transfer portal and the recruiting class, and we've got some stars here. Obviously, we've got the 4-star here, we've got a 5-star athlete, a 4-star athlete, gem, and we've got a couple of stars like this athlete here, power rusher. He's got star development. We've got a couple of other people with star development, and I really believe that this team could compete within the next couple of years. Now, before we get into season 2, I want to take a look at this team because last season, this team was a 76 overall on both offense and defense. But now, after a very solid recruiting class and transfer portal, we have upgraded all the way to a 92 overall. And it starts with the quarterback, Jackson Arnold. He hasn't had the best seasons at both Oklahoma and Auburn, but he transfers here to Purdue, and he upgrades all the way to an 89 overall and will most likely be our starting quarterback for the rest of the season. And it's not just him, the running backs. Transfer Brian Jackson up to an 88 overall. Wide receiver Nitro Tuggle, he transferred out but wanted to come back, and he's up to an 86. And he's not the only one. We've got other receivers behind him who are very solid. We've got a very solid tight end room. We've got good offensive linemen. We've got good edge rushers now. And even we have a good defense. As the transfers we brought in, the corners are all above 80 overall, at least the starters. Even the secondary behind them. Safeties are up to an 80, and the strong safeties up to an 84. So I really do believe that this team can compete this year and definitely make at least a bowl game. Season 2. Last season was more of just a startup so that we can build a good team now and start competing now. But with the start of every season, you've got to set up a recruiting board. And I've already gone through it and set up everything. I have a bunch of 5-stars here with 4 stars filled in between for the positions that we need. We don't need as many positions as we do last year because we brought in so many younger transfers to upgrade that they're not going to be graduating this year. They're not going to be getting drafted this year. So we can use this recruiting board to just fill in the positions with the best possible players this season. And so I've gone through, put together my full recruiting board, and it's looking pretty good. I'm feeling pretty confident this year that we can start landing better recruits than we did last year, even though we had a very solid recruiting class last year. Now, the second thing I want to talk about is our schedule. Like I said last year, we're only going to play the rivalry games. So here, we've got a week 4 game against Notre Dame. We're going to play that one, of course. And then we don't have another rivalry game until week 12 against Illinois and week 13 against Indiana. So our games are more spaced out this year. The last 2 games of the season could be for either bowl eligibility or maybe even conference championship or the playoffs. So we're going to play those games at the end of the year, but we've got this Notre Dame game ahead of us that we've got to play first. So we're going to go ahead and play the Notre Dame game. Now, heading into week 4 here is a rivalry week against Notre Dame, so we are going to play this game. However, I want to give you guys some quick updates on what's going on so far. So we've played 2 games so far. Both have been simulated, and we put up 26 against Wake Forest, won by 16. And then the next week, we put up 72 on FCS Midwest. Is it surprising? Not really, but it's still a good performance from our offense. And the other thing I want to take a look at is our recruiting so far, as it's been going good so far, as we're first on most people's boards, except for this corner down here, as we are second place in a fight with Notre Dame. So getting a win here would be huge for us. Other than that, we've got to play this Notre Dame game, and in order to beat them, we got to play them and we got to perform. And here we go. Probably the most important game of the rebuild so far against the top 15 ranked Notre Dame team at home. It's a little different from last year. Could be in our favor now that we've got a better team, better offense, better defense, even better coaches, and now we have home field advantage. As our team's just getting injured over and over again. And here on second down, Minchie will keep the ball and he's in the end zone. 4th and goal from the 4. We're going for it. Motion the back to the left, or to the right, excuse me. We'll scroll out of the pocket. We'll scramble with Arnold. Arnold's in the end zone for a touchdown. Come out here 2nd and 10, just looking for yards. Drop back to pass. We've got a man over the middle. Can we get it to him? Yes, we can. It's Bell. Bell breaks the tackle, breaks another. He's got one man to beat. Can he? 20, 10, touchdown Purdue. Second play out of halftime is a touchdown. He missed the last one. Do we have another miss? It's up. And it looks to squeak in. Not an easy one, but it's right down the middle. As the field goal is up and it's right down the middle. As we take our 7-point lead back. As it'll be 3rd and goal here from the 9-yard line. Minchie directing traffic. He'll drop back to pass. Does he have anybody open? Doesn't look like it. He's got the flat, and he's in for a touchdown. The kick is up, and it is right down the middle as we take a 3-point lead with a few seconds remaining. Here with 3 seconds remaining, we'll just kick the ball off to the left. Notre Dame has to return this. Otherwise, they have to take a long Hail Mary, and they'll return it. Can he find the sideline? No, he won't. And Purdue will take down Notre Dame in the revenge game as we get our first win in this battle. And coming off a big win versus Notre Dame, we have simmed to mid-season, and things are looking good so far. As we're 6-0, going into a week where we're playing a top 25 ranked 8-0 UCLA team, and possibly winning this game could get us ranked for the first time in this rebuild. After that Notre Dame game, we would go on to beat Washington by a touchdown, Maryland by 28, and Wisconsin by 2 touchdowns. So things are going good so far. And when it comes to recruiting, things are also going pretty good. As we do have our first commit 4-star quarterback, Enrique Garcon, after we had a visit last week and we got the win. He ended up committing to our school. And everybody else here, this guy's first place. This guy, we're slowly creeping up his board. This guy, first place, but Clemson is coming back as they could probably take this recruit from us. This guy, first place. This guy, first place. And everybody else is high up on their board, as we could get this 5-star linebacker here in the next coming weeks as well. So things are going good so far, and the next update will be the Illinois game, but we'll play that game. After simming to week 12, we went on a bit of a losing skid, as we would end up losing 3 in a row after simming to midweek. We would lose to a top 25 ranked UCLA. We would lose at Iowa the very next week. And then when we had our 5-star on visit, we would end up losing to Minnesota at home. A big blow for this program, but we would get a big get back against a 4th-ranked Penn State at Penn State, which is a huge momentum shift for us going into back-to-back rivalry games. Now, other than that, we've got some recruiting things to show you, as we do have 5 commits to our school, all 4 stars. The QB you've already seen, but we got a tackle, a guard, a receiver, and a defensive tackle, as we're still in battles here for the other guys. But like I said, losing to Minnesota really screwed us over, and we're probably going to lose this 5-star linebacker to Auburn. But we've got some replacements here. We've got some 3-star athletes on the line, the defensive line, that is, and a linebacker here as we're scouting out some corners to really beef up that secondary. But other than that, it's time for our second rivalry game of the season, this time against Illinois. Now heading into this game against Illinois, They have struggled this season. They're currently 2-8. So I would say it's more of a tune-up game for the rivalry game against Indiana next week, who's a very good team at themselves. However, since it is a rivalry game at Illinois, this could be a trap game. So we have to be extremely careful. But if we can get our offense flying early and we can get a couple of turnovers at the beginning of the game, I really think we can pull away with a big dub here at Illinois. So I'll bring up a 2nd and 1. Everybody bunched up once again. Looks like they'll lean on the run again. There's a wide open lane in the middle. He jukes back inside and is in the end zone for a touchdown as Illinois strikes first. Moving down the field at will. 1st and goal. Motion over Bell. Bell will take the handoff. He's got a lane on the left side. He'll go right into the end zone. From the 1, will they go with a QB sneak or just a halfback power? And we tackle the quarterback, and the running back has the ball, and he's in the end zone for an Illinois touchdown. And with 3 minutes left, we can slowly take our time, but we do want to get in the end zone here. 1st down. We'll dump it off to Bell. Bell, is he fast enough? Bell is. He'll find his way into the end zone. Seems to be a 56-yarder. Does he have the leg? Looks good. And it's right down the middle. Here on 2nd and 9. 2nd and 9. Play action. He'll step up, and there's a wide open man in the end zone for a touchdown. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. We'll get the snap off, give it off to Jackson. Jackson bounces off one man and into the end zone for a touchdown. We should be able to tie the game here as that kick bounces off the upright and goes in. Things are not looking good so far, as with 4 seconds remaining, they'll kick the game-winning kick, and it looks to be right down the middle as Illinois takes the win. I'm making a change at quarterback. Last week, Jackson Arnold had one of the worst games that I've ever seen from a quarterback, so we're going to give the freshman a shot in a rivalry game. Other than that, we had 6 running backs at the start of the season, and now we're down to 3 because our second best running back, Merriweather, is injured. Our freshman 5-star is injured. McCormick, injured. So we're running thin on running backs this game. So it's not looking good already. And on top of that, our best receiver, Nitro Tuggle, is also injured. So we're heading into this game really beaten down and really scrambling for answers. But with that being said, let's play this rivalry game. And after a very disappointing loss to an Illinois team last week that I believed wasn't very good, we now have to go into Indiana and play what I believe is a better team than them. So we're looking for a bounce back game, and we're looking to see flashes from our freshman quarterback, who I've put into the game, and hopefully he can show flashes that will take some stress off the 3 running backs that I have. Now, inside 2 minutes here in the first quarter, Indiana's stuck here with a 3rd and 4 within field goal range, but they don't want a field goal. They want a touchdown. They're going to the end zone. They've got their man, and it's a touchdown. They'll go with a pass. Nobody's open. Everything's covered up, and he'll sack him. Fumble! The quarterback fumbles. We pick it up, and Lawson's got all the room in front of him for a fumble recovered by Purdue and into the end zone as we'll tie the game on a turnover. On 4th and goal, Indiana will kick it right down the middle. Coming up here, 3rd and goal from the 4 this time. We're going to drop back to pass. Can we find our man over the middle? It's Smith, and he's into the end zone for a touchdown. And after a fairly eventful drive for Indiana, it looks like it's going to end up with 3 points as it's right down the middle. Here,
In a 14-13 game, Indiana will look to kick a field goal, and it looks like it's right down the middle as they'll take the lead. As on 1st and 10, they'll go with a run to the outside. Do we have anybody there? No, we don't. Their back looks to be too fast, and he's going all the way to the end zone. For a great play. Looking for a run up the middle. We'll dump it off here to the tight end. Can he get in the end zone? Yes, he will. It's Walker. As on 4th and 16 here, they'll look to take a 5-point lead, and it's right down the middle. We are playing Louisiana in the First Responders Bowl. I'm going to go ahead and simulate and show you guys the results of that game. And after we simulated the week, we did end up getting the win in our bowl game against Louisiana. We ended up winning by one singular point. So we end off the season 8-5 on a high note. We didn't fire any staff personnel, so there's no changes within the staff. We're 8-5. We have a bowl game win, and now we're going to go ahead and head into the transfer portal. Now, as we start the offseason here, we have to start with some unfortunate news, as there is a ton of people who are looking to transfer out, and there's really nobody on this team who can even try to keep it. I guess this guy's got low persuasion chance, and he's gone. So, other than that, our best chances are to go after our best players. First one failed. Second one failed. Third one failed. Fourth one failed. And our final chance. And everybody here is going to be transferring out with only a few graduating, as we're going to need a very solid transfer portal once again to try and bring back better players. I have simmed to the transfer portal week 1, and I have set up what I believe is a very, very good transfer portal. And what I believe, if we can get all the players on this board here, I think we could be a college football playoff contender next year. Starting off with the 4 stars here, with the superstar headliner Bo Jackson. If we can get him in our backfield, he would easily be our number 1 option, as he would probably be a 90+ overall who can move around, move side to side, give us that sideline to sideline movement in the backfield that we've needed. We also have DJ Pickett, who would instantly make our defense 10 times better. Over the past couple of years, we've already been struggling with pass defense, and he's one of the top corners in college football. And if we were able to get him, it'd be a massive upgrade to this team. And we also have a ton of other positions with stars here that if we can get these guys, like I said, we're easily going to be a college football playoff contender next season. And with that, I'm going to sim to the end of the transfer portal after week 4, and then I'll show you guys who we all get. Now, after 4 weeks of going through the transfer portal and finishing up the rest of my recruiting, I've put together a full class of 35 recruits, all filling in holes that we needed in the spots on this team, including a bunch of guys with this 4-star right tackle having elite development. Great start here, as he's going to be the tackle of our future. And not only that, but we've got guys below him here. This 4-star defensive tackle with star development trait, this tight end, edge rusher, linebacker, corner, free safety, and strong safety, all having star development coming in here and will be impact players for our team this year. And now with that, I'm going to upgrade this team. I'm going to show you guys the overall as we go into season 3. Now, heading into season 3 here, things are off to a hot start. As taking a look at our team here, I have upgraded this team to a 95 overall with a 96 offense and 94 defense. Some of those stats might be skewed because we do have 2 fantastic starting quarterbacks, as we have Jackson Arnold at a 92 overall and Brady Hart at a 91 overall. Now, to start this season, I'm probably going to start Brady Hart at quarterback because I do want someone to break Drew Brees' passing yards record here at Purdue. And Brady Hart is a sophomore, which means he's probably got the best chance, as he did play for us last year. And now he could keep playing for an extra 3 years to try and break that record. Now, other than that, we've got a strong running back room here as we've got Brian Jackson returning at a 90 overall, and his backup last year, Merriweather, before he got injured, he is now up to an 87 overall. And our wide receiver room, much improved this year. We did lose Nitro Tuggle, but we were able to bring in some new guys like Corey Smith here and a returning Philip Bell, who are able to get up to a 90 overall, 88, and their third string, Armand Branch, who's at an 87. So the wide receivers room is much improved from last year, and the tight end room. Luke Robb here and Michael Smith, both 88 overalls. They're doing good as well. Same with the offensive line, as they're all above 80 overall. Defensive line much improved, all above 80 overall, including the defensive tackles, as this is a very solid room here with a ton of depth. The linebacker room is much more improved, as we've got guys over 80 overall, or just shy of 80 overall. Cornerback room, much improved. This was the biggest focus in the transfer portal, as we've got multiple guys here 91 overall, 90 overall, 84, and 84. And behind them, the safeties, all above 80 overall. We've got a bunch of 82s here, so we've got depth here in this room, as well as the strong safeties with the heavy hitter here at 87 overall. So this team's looking very solid going into the year. Now let's look at the schedule and who we're going to play this year. And we start off hot in week 1 as we play a top 15 Notre Dame team at Notre Dame, a rivalry game that we are going to play. And then next week, we have a game against North Carolina, who's a top 25 ranked team, another difficult game in our schedule. Week 3, we play Miami of Ohio, should be our easiest game on our schedule. Hopefully, we can't choke anything. Week 4, we start conference play against a top 20 UCLA team who did end up beating us last year. So that's going to be another revenge game for us. Then week 5, we play at home versus Illinois, a rivalry game in which we'll play. Hopefully, we can win and keep our momentum going. Then we start a gauntlet of away games. As week 6, we play top 10 Oregon team. Week 7, we go top 12 Nebraska team. Then we get a bye week in between. Then we go play at Maryland, which is probably the easiest game, but it's still a Big Ten game, so it's pretty difficult. And then at a top 11 Ohio State, a gauntlet of games that's going to be difficult, but if we can crawl out of that, we get 3 straight home games. Number 6, Penn State. We play versus Michigan State, and then a rivalry game to end out the season versus Indiana for a revenge game that if we win that, we could be in either the college football playoff, the Big Ten championship, and maybe we can even win those games. So it's going to be a difficult season, but I believe that if we can pass that gauntlet of away games in the middle of the season, we'll be able to do something special this season. And now I'm going to set up my board, and we're going to go ahead and head into week 0. And as we head into week 0 here, I'm going to start off by showing you guys the recruiting class, as it's what I said I was going to do because I'm taking a different approach this year. Usually I would set up a board with 35 guys on my board, and whoever didn't get offers, I would go heavy into those guys just because I wanted solid players filling in positions on this roster because we used to be so bad. But now that we're a much better team, a competitor in the Big Ten, and we're so young, now I want the heavy hitters in high school to come in and become the best players in the country. So I'm going to start going after those high 4 stars and the 5 stars. So I started off here with a bunch of heavy hitters who are gems, probably going to come in and be the best players on this roster, but it is going to be tougher to get them. So I've got 5 stars here. I've got a ton of 4-star gems who are getting a bunch of attention from some bigger programs, but I'm going to put as many hours as I can into these guys because I want to start putting together a 99 overall team. But that's my board, and we're going to head into week 1 where we will play Notre Dame. And as we head into this game against Notre Dame, it's a big one, as Notre Dame is in the top 15 ranked teams, and we're playing at Notre Dame in week 1 of our 3rd season of this rebuild. We're looking here to make the playoffs this season for the first time, and we've got to start it off with a hot win against a very, very good team. Getting a win here would give us momentum for the rest of the season. As Hart's already got 60 yards passing on 2 plays.
First and 10. We'll go back to the run. We'll find a hole on the outside. Jackson misses another man, and he's in the end zone. Notre Dame defense struggling here early as we'll drop back to pass once again. Can we dump it off to him? Yes, it's Beatty. Beatty's got a million miles in front of him. If we make this, we'll go up by 3 scores. And it's right down the middle as we'll take a 17-0 lead here coming out of the first quarter, heading into the second. First and goal from the 5. Looks like the RPO. We miss a tackle, and he's in the end zone as Notre Dame responds with 6. Third and 16. We'll drop back to pass. Can we find a man in the wheel route? And it's even picked off as we cannot catch a break. As after a booming start to this game, Notre Dame responds with a deflection pick 6. 45 seconds remaining here in the half. We'll drop back to pass. Seems like there's a bunch of confusion over the middle of the field. We'll see him scramble out. And it's another pick. Another pick 6. Like, this is a joke at this point. And it will likely put him up by 6 points. And it will. And it's right down the middle. And it's right down the middle. Second and goal here. Looks like they'll go right back to Lewis. Lewis breaks the tackle and is in the end zone as Notre Dame puts this game away. Now, as we head into week 5 here, it is a rivalry week, so we are going to jump in and play Illinois, hopefully to get a win this time, as that Notre Dame game could not have gone any worse. But that's okay. We can bounce back. Now, taking a look at what's happened since that game against Notre Dame in week 1, we ended up losing by 3 points to what is a really good North Carolina team this year, as they're 4-0. But then we would get back next week as we would put up 51 points on Miami of Ohio, and then we get our revenge against UCLA as we put up 42 points against them as we head into this Illinois week. Other than that, there's a couple of recruiting, I guess, updates. As there's everybody's in our top 5 right now that we're going after, except for this 5-star here, but we're pretty far ahead. We're first on everybody's board. I've added a couple of guys here as this guy locked us out due to our C- playing style. We need to get that up to a C+, so we're going to look to have a huge rushing attack here against Illinois. And other than that, that's the only update I have. We're going to go ahead and jump into this Illinois game. And heading into this game versus Illinois, we're playing at home this year. So hopefully we can get some momentum going at the start, as last time I played, it was the Notre Dame game where we started with 17 straight points and then gave up 40 unanswered points. So we're looking to completely reverse that. We're just going to put up as many points as we possibly can, hopefully on the ground, so that we can get that recruits deal breaker back up. And then we're going to hopefully show out on defense, stop this Illinois team, and get a rivalry win. As on first and goal, they'll go with a run. Quarterback keeper, and he's in the end zone for an Illinois touchdown, and they take the lead early. As our defense is getting torched here by Illinois. What is going on? They're inside the 12 now. They'll dump it off to the tight end. He's got a ton of running room. We're not able to get off the block, and he's in the end zone. We'll bring in the sophomore 5-star Okine. Motion out of man. We'll give it off to Okine. Okine's in the end zone for a touchdown. They'll start here first and 10 from the 26. Maybe we can get a pick here. Pick or a fumble. They'll hand it off to the running back. He'll keep juking inside. What was that? What was that? He somehow juked about 5 times and goes for a long touchdown as nobody was able to bring him down. It looks good. Does it have the distance? And it's right down the middle as we get stuffed at the goal line. And on fourth and goal, we'll take our 3 points. First and 10 now. Illinois, play action. And they'll throw it right into the hands of Delhomme. Delhomme picks it off, able to make a man miss. And that's a huge momentum shift here, as we could tie things up here on this drive. 2nd and 10. We'll drop back to pass. There's a man over the middle. It's Beatty. Beatty's going to the house. And we're down by 2 points as we'll go for 2 here to look to tie the game up. What a huge turn of events there as we score the field goal to make it an 8-point game, score the pick, get the touchdown, and that's wide open. But I tried to find Smith in the back of the end zone. We'll come up here 3rd and goal. 3rd and goal. We'll dump it off to the running back, Beatty. Beatty's got a lane up the middle, and he's in the end zone for a touchdown. Now 1st and 10. Illinois motioning out Davis. They'll look to dump it off. They won't be able to find him. They're taking their end zone shot, and it's a touchdown. And that ball's right down Broadway. With 19 seconds left, they're not even going to try and take a knee. They're not even going to try to go for the end zone. The kick is up, and it's wide left. Illinois, with 19 seconds left, doesn't go for the touchdown. They go for a field goal, and they'll miss it, and they'll lose the game. What just happened? Jackson Arnold will take a knee, and we'll get a 31-28 victory over Illinois, as their kicker missed a field goal. But I'm more surprised at the fact that they didn't even try to do like a QB sneak or a halfback dive to try and get to the end zone. Either way, we're going to take the win, and we'll head to 3-2 on the season. Now, as we are exiting what I like to call our gauntlet of games, where we played 4 away games against 3 top 25 ranked opponents, we came out 3-1. First, going into Eugene and beating Oregon by 3 points in what was most likely a pretty tough game. Then we go ahead and go to Nebraska, where we would win by a touchdown, and then we would get a bye week, and then have a bit of a get-right game before we played Ohio State, and we'd go play at Maryland, where we would win by 2 touchdowns. But then in Columbus, we would lose by 3 points to an unranked Ohio State team, but they are still a very, very good team. I think they're just having a bad season. But unfortunately, we've got to turn right back around, come back home, and play number 1, 9-0 ranked Penn State. So it's going to be a difficult game before we end up playing against a top 25 ranked Indiana team, which we are going to play that game, but we still got to sim through that. Now, I do have some updates on recruiting. We didn't end up losing a ton of recruits, as we ended up losing our 5-star and a couple of 4-star gems. But we were able to get a 4-star receiver, 2 4-star defensive tackles, and a 4-star linebacker, while still being in some other recruiting battles, like here for this 4-star gem, we're first place, only offer so far. This tight end here, once again, only offer 4-star. This left guard, we're probably going to get him next week, but it could change around if BYU is able to win that game. We've got a couple other guys here on our board who we're going after. We're in a battle here with LSU for this guy. So we're in some close fights, but we are getting some recruits to come to our school. But other than that, we've got to go play Indiana. And as we head into week 13 here, we ended up going 1-1 in those home games versus Penn State and Michigan State. But I don't think it went how you thought it would. As we look at the schedule here, we would end up winning versus number 1 Penn State, but we would lose by double digits to an unranked Michigan State team. I don't know how that happened, but things just folded the wrong way, I guess. But we've got an Indiana game to play, and we're going to go ahead and head into it. And as we head into this game here against Indiana, we don't have much to play for, as unfortunately we were eliminated from Big Ten championship contention last week when we lost against Michigan State. If we were to win that game and then win this game, we would need either USC or Penn State to lose, and then we would have been in the Big Ten ship. But unfortunately, that didn't happen, and now we just have to win this rivalry game, as that's probably the biggest thing that we need to focus on now. 3rd and goal now from the 1. We need to punch our ticket here in for 6.
We'll hand it off to Jackson. Jackson's got a running room up the middle, and he punches his ticket. 3rd and inches now, just shy of that first down marker inside 2 minutes. We'll motion out Bell. We'll hand it off to him. Actually, this time it's Branch, but Branch has a wide open lane, and he's in the end zone. As Branch gets us 6 points, 1st and goal. Arnold hands it off to Jackson. Jackson's got a ton of running room up the middle, and we will go up 20-0 as this game is pretty much put away, and he's our 5-star. We need to get him the ball as he's going to be our future running back of this rebuild, and he's going to continue to do that. As we'll motion him out, but we'll hand it off to Jackson. Jackson's got a ton of room up the middle, and we're in the end zone for the 4th time this game. They've got no chance of winning at this point, but they're still looking for points. They just want to be competitive now. As they'll drop back to pass, and they'll find a man over the middle. He'll break a tackle, and Indiana's in the end zone for their first time this game. We'll go to 8-4, a respectable season. Once again, another bowl game entrance for us. As this final rush here will do it. We'll hand it off to Beatty. Beatty won't get much on the play, but that will take us to the end of the game as we get our first win against Indiana in this rebuild. And we'll go to 8-4, take Indiana to 7-5. We'll get our bowl game. As next year, we're looking for that Big Ten championship. Now, heading into conference championship week, we have what I'm going to call an emergency alert. As going into that Indiana game last week, I said there was a 0% chance that we could make the Big Ten championship. Turns out I was wrong, because looking at the Big Ten standings here, I told you guys that USC and Penn State were both 10-1 and 7-1 in conference play. And that was true. But Penn State ended up losing their final Big Ten game of the season, falling to 10-2, but mainly 7-2 in conference play. And that's important because both Penn State and Oregon are 7-2 in conference play, but we are also 7-2 in conference play. But because we beat Penn State earlier this season, and because we beat Oregon as well earlier this season, we are the ones getting the bid into the Big Ten championship. Now, we do have to play USC, who is a very, very good team. But if we can win this game, I believe that it will punch our ticket into the college football playoff. Now, the only problem with that is I cannot play this game, but I will jump in and spectate the final 2 minutes of the game and hope that we can pull out a win. Other than that, that's the only update I have, and I am ready to watch this game. And as we head here, it is inside 2 minutes, but we are down 38-25. As things started off good, we were up 7-0 to start this game, but things started to slip away. And unfortunately, it looks like we are going to fall here. But it was a good season for us. We made it to the Big Ten championship. That was ultimately our goal. We made it here. Unfortunately, we're not going to make it out here with a win. As Arnold will drop back, he'll get the first down. But we're inside a minute left. As we're trying to hurry things up here, we're out of timeouts. So he's going to take an end zone shot here. Is actually he'll spike it. But they'll come back out here quickly. Looks like they don't have anything else looking good for them as they'll find a man over the middle. As Arnold is just shy of 300 yards passing this game, so he's having an efficient day. But unfortunately, our defense cannot get a stop. As now inside 40 seconds. They'll spike the ball again. But our efforts look to be a little too late. We will motion a guy out to the right side of the field. Arnold will find a man over the middle. That brings us inside what's likely to be 30 seconds before we get the spike off. As no, he will not spike it. He'll look to pass once more. Arnold scrambling out of the pocket. Throw it to the sideline. And now with under 20 seconds remaining, Arnold 4th and 4. He'll drop back. He'll throw it over the middle of the field. And it's caught as he'll move the sticks. And they'll hurry things up here. Inside 15 seconds now. 12. He'll spike it with 11 seconds remaining, and they'll hurry things up once more. 11 seconds left. They need a touchdown if they even want a chance at having another try at this. Arnold will move up in the pocket. He'll find a man wide open. And he gets out of bounds. Inside the 5 now. Move down to 1 second. As on the final play of the game, Arnold is sacked. And we'll lose the Big Ten championship 38-25. And that will end our hopes of making the college football playoff this season. And as we head into our bowl week here, we are in the Cheez-It Bowl versus Texas. A pretty even matchup as we're both around the same overall. But I won't be able to play this game, which is unfortunate. However, I haven't changed anything with my staff. I haven't gotten any new recruits. So the only update is we've got the Cheez-It Bowl, and then I'm going to sim to next week, and I'll show you guys the results. Now, as we head into week 1 of off-season recruiting in the transfer portal, I first want to take a look at our draft results, as we had, I believe, 7 players drafted, with Jackson Arnold going the highest in the 3rd round. We got our running back, Brian Jackson, star receiver, Corey Smith. We had some offensive linemen, defensive linemen, and a tight end here also get drafted. Now, other than that, I have already set up my transfer portal board. And last year, I showed a bunch of 4-stars. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get them. But hopefully this year, we can get some of our guys. We got some quarterbacks here, help in the run game, help on the offensive line, defensive line. We've got help here at linebacker. We got help here in the secondary. And we even need to bring in a new kicker, as our current kicker is graduating. So we're going to have to bring in a new one. Now, other than that, we're going to try and get everybody on our board, but I'll show you guys the results of who we get after the end of the transfer portal. Now, as we head into National Signing Day here, this was easily our worst recruiting cycle that we've had this rebuild. However, we did land this 4-star left guard with elite development trait, so at least we have that. But only getting 28 guys when we definitely needed more, it definitely hurts our program. I mean, we had a ton of guys who wanted to leave, a ton of star players who wanted to leave, and we just weren't able to replace them. But we're going to have to take this talent that we have, the talent that we already have, and we're going to need to make a Big Ten championship contender and a college football playoff contender. And I still think we can do that with the upgrades that we're going to make this season, but we got to find out in season 4, and we're going to go ahead and head there. Now, as we head into season 4 of this rebuild, we are entering what I'm going to call probably the most interesting and probably the most important season of this rebuild. And that starts with our schedule, as it's a little easier than last season, but it's definitely more top heavy, as we only face 4 ranked teams this season, but we have number 1 Notre Dame, number 3 USC, and number 11 Michigan, all within the first 6 weeks of the season. So it's definitely looking difficult, but we start with FCS, then Wake Forest, and then we've got the mentioned USC and Michigan here. Then we've got back-to-back rivalry games. Illinois at Illinois, and then at home versus number 1 Notre Dame. Then we go to Rutgers, home versus Northwestern, to Michigan State, home versus Iowa. Then we get our first bye week, and then we go play a ranked Nebraska at home. And then we go play our final rivalry game of the season at Indiana. It's going to be a good one, but this is definitely going to be an interesting season. As if we get super injured, we don't have the depth this year. We didn't have a very good recruiting class last season. We didn't have a great transfer portal either. So the depth on this team is not very good. But we do have some stars here on this roster. Now, taking a look here at this roster, it starts with what I'm going to say probably the best player on this team, the quarterback. Brady Hart, he's got the keys to this team this year. Jackson Arnold's off to the NFL. This is his season to break out and truly be the starting quarterback that we need. Now, the other part of that, our running back room is not as deep as it was last year. We have running backs that are all in that 80 range, but none above 85. So it's going to be difficult to get a good run game going, but we've got some fast guys here. So they could have those explosive runs, but they're not going to be as efficient, at least I'm expecting. Our wide receiver room, however, much better. It's kind of similar to last year, as we got a 90, 88, 84 here. So definitely we've got some good guys here. We've got some fast guys all here above 90 speed. but we've got to be efficient in the passing game this year. Same with our tight ends here. We've got some very good tight ends here up top, so we've got to be efficient in the passing game. But our edge rushers are improved as well. We've got 86s here. They're going to get off the edge very quick this year. They're going to be real threats here in the passing game. Same with our defensive tackles. They got a little bit worse, but I think they can be a real run stuffers this year and very important pieces of this defense. But now the biggest and most important thing is our DBs. They have been improving every single year of this rebuild, and they were a massive focus, as I believe this is easily our best defense that we've ever had. 91 corner here, 86, 86, 85. So we've got depth here, and we've got even more depth at safety. 89 here, 85 as well, and even at strong safety, 88, 88, and 85. So if any of these guys go down, we've got people behind them who are going to step up. And now we're going to head into our recruiting class. I'm going to set that up. Now heading into week 1 here, I'm going to give you guys a very, very quick update. We are playing an FCS school this week, so it should be the start of a winning season for us. We should be able to go 1-0. But my first update is recruiting, as we did move a ton of guys off the board, but we are in some battles here. These are the guys who we have on our board right now. We've got some receivers, some offensive linemen, defensive linemen, and linebackers, and we've got a corner here. These are all the guys we're going after. These are all the guys we're first place on the board. So it's going quick so far. We're not getting locked out of too many places, but we're definitely going to be in a ton of battles this season, and I expect to land a ton of top recruits this season. But other than that, we've got to go play this rivalry game versus Illinois. Now, heading into this game here against Illinois, it's going to be an interesting one. On paper, this team is much worse than us. However, it is a rivalry game, so anything can happen. Flares, sparks, any type of motivation that this team needs to beat us, and they're playing at home. So it's going to be a tough fight here against Illinois. But with the advantage in overall on both offense and defense, I think we can get it done. As that's a good start there from our defense. Illinois drove down early, but we're able to hold them to 3. Second and goal, we've got Bell one-on-one on the outside. We might look for him. But first, we'll motion out Mills Knight. We drop back to pass, and exactly what we have. We've got Bell over the middle of the field for a touchdown. And that will bring out the field goal unit as Illinois looks to make this a 1-point game. 4th and 10 now, and that's right down the middle. 4th and 13, and that kick is right through the uprights, and we get those 3 points back. And it looks like they'll go with a run up the middle. It's a fumble! Another fumble! The ball's being kicked around and we recover it! Doris, he's got one offensive lineman to beat, and he beats him. And somehow, after kicked around by the entire team, it ends up in the hands of the safety all the way in the back of the pile. 2nd and goal now. We're going to switch up the play. This time, give it to Ibrahim. We're going to hand it off to him. He's got a ton of running room up the middle. Here on 2nd and 6, they'll drop back to pass. They'll find a man over the middle of the field. Try to punch him out. He's able to hurdle a man. And I don't know what kind of animations those were, but that's just what the CPU gets as they're into the end zone for a touchdown. Trying to get to the end of the 3rd quarter by the end of this drive. 3rd and 8. We'll drop back to pass. We've got our main man over the middle. It's Bell. Bell's got a wide open lane for the touchdown. And here on 2nd and 3, they'll go back to a pass. They'll find a man on the outside. He's able to cut back inside, cut back outside, and he's got a lot of running room. Has so much for holding the Illinois quarterback under 300 yards because he's blown past that. 3rd and 6 now. Looking for our main man, Bell. Try to get him his 2nd touchdown on the game. We'll drop back to pass, and he's wide open. I mean, at this point, you might as well just hand it to him. As now we'll be stuck here 1st and goal on the 2nd play of this drive. We'll give it right back to Ibrahim, and they might as well let him walk in. And heading into this game here against Notre Dame, jumping straight from the Illinois game to this game, we got to turn around, and we've got to put the same beating to Notre Dame that we did against Illinois. Our offense exploded against Illinois last week, but our defense seemed to struggle in the passing game. So we're looking to turn it around here against Notre Dame, who is currently 5-1. We need to get a big win here to continue our winning streak. We'll snap it here. Third down, try and find our main man over the middle, and it's Bell into a tight window. Notre Dame coming out here this year, I believe, with a new quarterback. They'll go with an RPO immediately, and it's picked off. The first pass of the game for Notre Dame is picked off. As we could do the brotherly shove a couple times, but I say we just give it off to Mills Knight, as he's got a lane up the middle, and we're in for another 6 as we take that interception. They'll look to kick a field goal, get their first point of the game with 1:54 left here in the first half. And that kick is right down Broadway, and Notre Dame will get on the board here. But we're on the 2, 7, 6, 5. We get the snap off. We try to find a man, and we get a touchdown. Come up here 2nd and 9, looking for the end zone shot here. Try to cut this to an 11-point game. They'll drop back to pass, and the running back's wide open. Brings up a 3rd and 13 now. We're going to send in a full-out blitz, looking for some pressure. They'll dump it off here to the running back. He gets a fantastic block on the outside. He's got one man to beat, and I think he's going to beat him. Looking to take a 2-score lead once more. We'll drop back. We'll find a man on the outside. It's handy for a wide-open touchdown, and we're back in the lead by 2 scores. They're down by 12, and it looks like they're going to start off with a run. He spins out of one tackle, and that's how you start it. You go for a one-play rush where you find a hole, spin through nothing, and you're in the end zone for 6. Now, as we head into the halfway point towards the end of the season, this is our first bye week of the season, but I wanted to give you guys a quick update as recruiting's going really well this year. We've got 9 4-stars with a couple of gems sprinkled in there, and we've got a couple other battles that we're going after, like this running back gem, who it's us versus Oregon. So it's going to be difficult versus Oregon, but they don't seem to really want him right now, which is kind of good for us. Then this 5-star receiver, it's us in North Carolina going head-to-head here. They've got the 5-star pipeline, so it's going to be difficult, but we've got a visit this week, and we're hoping that can really push us over the edge. Another receiver here, 4-star, going to be good. But we've got 2 5-star tackles here. We're in the lead for both. Ohio State just gave away their offer from this guy. So it looks like we could get a 5-star tackle next week. We've got another tackle here, and we've got some other guys down here rounding out our board at the bottom. And normally I don't show you guys the rankings, but this season we're just outside the top 10 here. So we're slowly starting to creep into the top recruiting classes in the country. So that's good so far. But what I think is most important is our rank. If you look in the top left of the screen, we are currently 9-1 and 6th in the country. We only have that one loss to Wake Forest in week 2. Still kind of bugs me a lot. But after that Notre Dame game, we'd go on to beat Rutgers by a touchdown, blow out Northwestern, blow out Michigan State, and beat Iowa by 2 touchdowns. So things are looking good right now, and I think we need to stay on pace there, and I think we should be able to make the Big Ten Championship and the college football playoff. So things are going good so far, but we've still got to get past the game next week against Nebraska, and then we're going to go ahead and head to the Indiana game, which is our final rivalry game of the season, and the game that should take us to the Big Ten Championship. Now heading into week 13, the last thing we wanted to see was a loss. But unfortunately, that's exactly what happened. This 14-point loss to Nebraska knocked us out of both the conference championship game and the college football playoff. However, we do have 1 week left, and looking at conference standings, if we can get Penn State to lose to their opponent this week, and we can win against Indiana, who isn't as strong of a team as they were last year. As you can see there, they're 14th in the conference. We can make it. We can make it to the Big Ten Championship, and then we can play against Washington, and maybe even get into the college football playoff. But that's all ifs, ands, or buts. And the only way for that to start is by playing this Indiana game. So we're going to go ahead and jump in. And heading into this game here against Indiana, it's just 1/2 of being able to make this Big Ten Championship game that we're looking for this season. and we've got to come out firing. Obviously, we're going to need another insane offensive performance. We're going to need a fantastic defensive performance, but we're just looking for a win here to end our season. Looking for the end zone shot. Maybe find our star receiver Bell, but he's got pretty good coverage. But we've got a man wide open over the middle. It's Handy. The freshman receiver's into the end zone. And Indiana will start their second quarter here. 3rd and goal from the 6. We're moving our guys over. They'll go with the pass. They dump it underneath. And it looks like he's in for the end zone for a touchdown. As that's a good play there from Handy. 1st and 10. We got a U one-on-one on the outside. And I think he burned his man. It's Bell, the star man, going into the end zone. 3rd and 9 now for Indiana. We're looking for another turnover. They're looking for a first down. We've got 2 tight ends. They'll go with a run here on 3rd and 9, and of course it works. It might go for 6, and yep, that's exactly what's going to happen. Crowd shaking. 4th and 21. It's right down Broadway. Do we have the leg on it? And there it is. Brings up a 2nd and goal now. Looking for Bell there on the zig route. And guess who's open? It's Bell. Phillip Bell's in the end zone for a touchdown. As he's taken down. 2nd and 3 now. A ton of abilities come up here. As everybody's locked in here. Another keeper with Mendoza. But we're inside Indiana's 20 now. Inside their 15. Looking for a touchdown response. 2nd and 5. Let's go right back to McCormick. And he's got daylight as he's walking to the end zone for a touchdown. But it does stop the clock. 2nd and goal now. Where will Indiana go? Taking their time here. They'll drop back to pass. They'll find the tight end, and he's in the end zone for a touchdown. Heading into conference championship week, as you can see here, unfortunately, Penn State didn't lose, but Washington lost. That was the one thing we didn't need. We needed a Penn State loss. And if we didn't lose to Nebraska or if we didn't lose to Wake Forest, I think we would have been in the Big Ten championship. So it's unfortunate for us, but we just got to hope that when one of them loses the Big Ten championship, we got to hope that they get knocked out of the playoffs. And us as the number 13 team in the country, I hope we're not the last team out of the playoff. But other than that, I can show you guys my recruiting here. As we're still doing good so far, we got a 5-star tackle here to commit to our school. We're hoping for some other guys here. This gem running back, Oregon gave up their offer. So now we're the only ones for this guy. He's looking good. This 5-star receiver here, unfortunately, I think because of that Tier 5 pipeline, North Carolina is going to get this guy. So it sucks, but you got to live with it. We've got 2 other receivers. Hopefully they can be 10 times better than this guy. 5-star gem right tackle here. We're first by a mile. And this linebacker here, we should be able to beat out Auburn and Florida, but as you can see there, their influence is much higher than ours, so it could mess us up in the next coming weeks. Now, other than that, we've just got to sim to next week and hope that we make the playoffs. Now, heading into the second bowl week, as you can see, unfortunately, we were the last team out of the college football playoff. So now we're playing in the Music City Bowl against Texas, but looking to end this season strong as we could get our 11th win on the season and come home with a bowl win. Other than that, no updates on recruiting, no updates with my staff. We've just got to look at this Texas game here, and I'm going to sim to next week and show you guys the results. Now heading into the first week of off-season recruiting, I've set up my board a little bit smaller this year. I'm not trying to go after 35 guys to fill out this roster. I'm going after the guys who are going to give us the wins that we need to go win a national championship this season and next season. Mainly, I want to at least make the playoffs this season, but it's going to start with our prospects here who are already been on our board. We've got our running back here, our 5-star gem, who's probably going to commit after this week, and we've got a battle here, and you can see our battle between Auburn and us, it is down to the final centimeter of influence. But other than that, trying to bring in our receiver here to fill in for Bell, who went off to the draft. This guy has 95 speed and 98 spec catch. This guy would be a monster on the outside at 6'4". Hopefully we can bring him in and just become a 2,000-yard receiver maybe. Other than that, shore up the offensive line, shore up the linebackers, but the big focus here is the defensive backs, as we lost 3 safeties to the NFL draft. So we've got to find ways to fill in those holes. We also lost half our corners who also either graduated or transferred out. So we've got a ton of corners on our board. We've got a ton of safeties on our board. And we're going to try and get those guys to come to our school, fill out that back half of the defense. And we're going to try and make things work as we're going to head here to the end of offseason recruiting. And I'll show you guys who I get. And after the transfer portal, I have signed not a full class this year, but a very solid class. And I've got 3 3-stars at the top of the board here, which is normally confusing until you realize these guys all have elite development trait. This linebacker, this corner, and this safety, all transfer freshmen with elite development. Now, other than that, they're not the only ones on this board. 5-star right tackle, star development. He doesn't have quite the great attributes yet, but I think with star development, he's going to develop into something good. We've got some other guys here. Offensive line stacked with stars. Defensive line too, and even the DBs. They're all star, but we still got a very good recruiting class and transfer portal here as we've got 5 stars. It might be impact development, but it's still better than normal. So we've got a full board here of 27 guys, all who are going to have impacts on this team sometime this season or next season. And normally I don't show what our class rank is, but for the first time, we're inside the top 10. We're right here at number 10. So we did pretty good in recruiting this year. It's a step up from the previous seasons, and I think we're about to have our best year of this rebuild. So we're going to go ahead and head into season 5. Now, heading into season 5 here, this is our year to win a ship. As you can see in the top left, we are a top 10 team in the country, and I think it's for good reason, as our team is up to a 99 overall with a ton of returning players who just improved over the offseason. Brady Hart's one of them. Better physicals, higher overall, better passing grades. He's going to be our quarterback this year. And even if he gets injured, we've got a fantastic backup who's going to take over for him next season and fill in perfectly for what he's doing this season. Our running back room has a ton more depth this year, mainly just off the fact that we got guys upgraded. So Ibrahim's going to be the running back 1 this year. Mills Knight's going to be his backup, and we've got backups if they get injured, which is a pretty common thing for this team. Wide receivers, we lost our top 2 guys. We brought in new guys, and they're going to fill in perfectly. All these guys, 90 overall. It's going to be a good year for receivers. Tight end, we brought back probably the best in the country, Ezekiel Cross. He was fantastic for us last year, and I think he's going to do some work. Now on the offensive line, we've got a solid line with the 2 best tackle duo in the country, in my opinion. We've got Luther here on one side, 94 overall, and then on the other side, we've got Bruce, also 94 overall. Easily the best duo in the country, and I think we're going to be protected in our backfield. Even the defense has improved. Edge rushers here, they're going to get in the backfield pretty quickly this year. They're going to wreak some havoc. Defensive tackle up the middle, another returner. Fantastic for us last season. I expect the same thing. Our linebackers are usually our weak spot, but they're looking pretty good this year as we have a returner in Abbott, another returner in Willis, and a new guy in the transfer portal, Frederick Wall from Miami. He comes in here, takes over the number 1 spot. I think he's going to be fantastic this season. At corners, much improved from last year, better physicals, better overalls, much faster than we had last year, and I really like how they're going to play this year. Safeties as well. We lost a ton of safeties to the draft last year, and we're going to do the exact same thing this year as we have a ton more seniors, but it's even better overalls than last year. 94 Doris here, easily the best safety in the country. He's going to wreak some havoc over the top. And we even replaced our strong safeties with a new guy, Coffee, transfer sophomore, 90 overall, also looking fantastic. So this season's going to be good, but we also have to look at our schedule to see who we're going to play. And taking a look at our schedule here, it's a tough one. We start off at number 1 ranked Notre Dame. For the 2nd year in a row, we've got to go play at Notre Dame. It's going to be a tough one. The other tough thing, we have 5 away games to start this season. At Vanderbilt, at Minnesota, at Northwestern, and at Michigan.
So if we can get through this, I think we're going to have a fantastic season and we're going to cruise our way to the Big Ten championship. Then we get a bye week. Then we go play Old Dominion, which should be a tune-up game, but they were a playoff team last year, so it's still going to be difficult. Then we have a rivalry game against Illinois. Then we play Rutgers, play USC, play a top 25 ranked Ohio State team. Then we go play at Washington, the Big Ten champions of last year. Then we go play our final rivalry game versus Indiana, which should get us into the playoffs. So it's going to be a good year. And I'm going to set up my board, and I will show you guys afterwards. Just like last season, we're going after the stars this year. We've got a couple of running backs here, a star receiver with, I believe, 96 speed, as this is easily our fastest receiver we've ever had. We've got some offensive line help. Edge rushers are going to be huge this year. I want to bring in a star guy who can fly off the edge and wreak havoc in the backfield. Defensive tackles here, another big thing. But the secondary. We're losing a lot of safeties once again, so we got to bring in new guys. And we've got some fast guys here too. 87 speed from this guy, but 94 speed from this guy. They should be pretty good if we can get them on our board. And we've got some guys here at the bottom of our board. So if our first options don't go our way, we can use these guys as our backup options if they're not getting the offers that they're looking for. Now, other than that, we're going to head into week 1 where we play Notre Dame. Now, heading into this game here against Notre Dame, obviously it's a top 10 matchup here at the very start of the season between two 99 overall teams. Notre Dame, it's not their first rodeo as a 99, but for Purdue it is. So it's going to be an interesting game. Definitely going to be a physical game. The run game is going to be a huge factor as it is pouring rain. So it might be tough for receivers to hold on to the ball. However, we can't just exclude the passing game, so we're going to have to do it eventually. But it's going to be a good game. Brings up a 2nd and goal now. We're going to try and go back to the run game as we'll motion out Ibrahim and then hand it off to Mills Knight, and that's a perfect lane. What a block from the offensive line as we're in the end zone. It's tough in these rainy conditions, but that ball should be right down the middle as we take a 10-point lead. We'll bring out the field goal unit for a straight shot field goal. We just need enough power. It's a wobbly kick, but it's right down the middle as we take a 13-point lead before the end of half. Brings up 2nd and 7 now for Notre Dame. They go with another handoff to the running back into the vacated hole in the middle of the field, and he's going to the end zone for 6. Still with harsh conditions, and I might have missed. Nope, it barely squeaks in the upright, and we'll take a 9-point lead. And Notre Dame's offense looking to cause some havoc here. Down by 9 points, they need a score here. They'll motion out the running back. They'll go with a pass. They're going deep. It's a solid play there from the receiver, and it looks like he's going to the end zone in this second half, as that's another missed throw from Hart. Hart cannot be missing these kinds of throws if we want to win this game, and it looks like he will return it. He's got about another man to beat. It's the punter, and he's going to beat him as they're going for a punt return touchdown, and Notre Dame takes the lead. Our defense needs something huge here. We need somebody to come up huge. They'll go with a late running back handoff. He's got a ton of room on the outside. He's got a burst of speed, and he's going to the end zone as our defense is crumbling here. 1st and goal now. We need a touchdown. So we'll motion out Ibrahim. We'll dump it off to Ibrahim. He's got a couple of blockers there, and he's into the end zone for a touchdown. 1st and goal from the 2. We'll go with the handoff here to Ibrahim. Ibrahim's got a running lane up the middle, and we're in the end zone for a touchdown. But that brings up a 4th and 7 now. They got to hurry things up now. Inside 50 seconds now in the game. Looks like they're going to have a tight end in the backfield. Or maybe that's just the biggest running back I've ever seen. 4th and 7. Their final try of the game. They're going to go deep. But it's punched out. What a play from the safety. And we're going to get the win in South Bend by 3 points as we'll take a 31-28 dub. And as we head into week 8 here, it is a rivalry week versus Illinois. So we are going to jump in and play this game. However, since it's the midpoint in the season, I got to give you guys a quick update. After that big win versus Notre Dame, we would go play at Vandy, get a 27-point win.
but fly to Minnesota and take a 3-point loss. It's unfortunate. We would end up falling out of the top 10, but we would turn things around as we would get a huge win at Northwestern, a huge win at Michigan, and then we get a bye heading into an Old Dominion game where we'd get a 27-point win. So things are going good so far. We're back into the top 10, and we look to make a huge push as we head for the playoffs. However, with recruiting here, things have been going very nicely for us. We have a star running back here, gem receiver, gem offensive lineman, two edge rushers here, one's a gem, and then two very good defensive tackles up the middle. So we've got a ton of commits here. We're inside the top 10 in recruiting classes so far, down there at number 7. So it's good so far, and we could get more guys here. 5-star, he is a bust. However, he's still a 5-star. He's still got good enough abilities. He's still got good enough attributes, and he should be fine if we can get him to come to our school. We've got a receiver here, tight end, more offensive linemen, got a linebacker, and then the defensive back help that we genuinely need to help build up this team after we're going to lose a ton of guys to the draft next year and this year. Now, other than that, we've got to play this Illinois game, and we got to keep this momentum going. Another rivalry game in this rebuild. This time we're playing at home versus Illinois. Now, we are about 25 overall ratings higher than Illinois, so it should realistically be a blowout in this game. However, Illinois has given us a run for our money recently in this rebuild. But this is our first year as a 99 overall team, and I think this game might end pretty poorly for them. 2nd and 11 now. They'll go back to the run. He's got a huge gap on the outside, and he's into the end zone, and Illinois strikes first. Tough kick, but it's right down the middle, and we respond with 3 points. Make it a 1-point game here, and that looks to be good. Brings up our offense in a near perfect position here. 1st and 10 from the 30. We'll go with a play action. Drop back to pass. Take a deep ball downfield. Looking for cross. The tight end makes a fantastic catch. 4th and 14. They're not going to go for it, so they're going to take their points and make it a 3-point game. 1st and 10. I want to try and get the new quarterback into the game a touchdown as Brady Hart did go down with an injury, and I think we'll find just that. Very short field goal, but we'll go up by 13 points any day of the week. 1st and 10 now for our offense. We'll go with play action. We'll find our man over the middle of the field, who other than Cross, as he's going to the end zone for a touchdown. And after that big win versus Illinois, unfortunately, we would have a couple of slip-ups, and we would probably get knocked out of playoff contention, as we're down to number 22 in the rankings. We would get a win versus Rutgers, but then take a loss to USC, get a win versus Ohio State, but then get a loss at Washington the very next week. So we're probably knocked out of playoff contention, but we've still got an Indiana game to play. So we're still going to hop in and play that game. Now, other than that, recruiting's pretty much been the same. All the guys that were on our board originally have committed, except for the 5-star running back, 4-star receiver, and 4-star tight end down here. We're not going to get the tight end most likely, but the other two we should be able to get in the next couple of weeks. Now, after that, let's head into the Indiana game. Now, heading into this game here against Indiana, the unfortunate thing for us is our season is basically over, as we cannot make the college football playoff or the Big Ten championship. We have too many losses in conference play, and we have too many losses in general, as we're up to 3 losses in both conference and in our regular schedule. So unfortunately for us, this game doesn't matter that much, but it is a rivalry game that we do want to win. So we got to come in here and play our best football. Try and take our first lead of this game, and it just squeaks in as we'll take a 3-0 lead. Somehow, some way, Indiana was able to come up with that ball, and now they're in the end zone for a touchdown. We'll come out here 1st and 10 inside the red zone. We'll look to pass here. We'll try and find a man on the outside. It's a U. A U's able to break a tackle and get into the end zone as he pushes a ton of men forward. We do have another chance, though. 2nd and goal now with 9 seconds left. We'll drop back to pass. We'll find a man wide open over the middle, and it's Ezekiel Cross, our tight end, here on 4th and 2. We're just going to take our points because now with Tripucka injured, we have to go with the third-string freshman. 2nd and 2, now we're going to bring Mills Knight back into the game. And we're going to hand it off to him as we look for 6. We'll cut back inside, and there's a perfect running lane up the middle. Here on 4th and goal from the 1. With 1:18 left and Indiana using all their timeouts, I might as well go for it. We're going to motion out Ibrahim and then dump it off to him as he's got a walking red carpet into the end zone for a touchdown. 1st and 10. There's a flag on the play, but we're going deep as they left a man wide open. It's Talbot. Talbot, I meant Talbot. But there is a flag on the play. We'll hit the 2-minute warning here. But before we do so, let's give the freshman running back a chance. It's Madu. Madu's got a huge running lane up the middle. Is he able to get into the end zone? Yes, he is. The game is over after this play. A 51-10 explosion with almost 400 yards rushing and over 300 passing. They're taking a deep shot to the end zone. It's deflected down, but it's intercepted. And what a fitting way to end this game. 8 sacks, an interception, 400 yards rushing, and almost over 700 yards of total offense. While holding Indiana to negative yards rushing, what a way to end our season. Now, as we head into bowl week here, we are in the Duke's Mayo Bowl against Georgia Tech. Obviously, it's not the college football playoff. We're not in the spot that we want to be as we're ending year 5 here. But that just means that year 6, we're going all out. We're doing some crazy things. We need to win a national championship. And that starts with the staff. Our offensive coordinator was not doing it. His offensive scheme was not air raid. So it didn't fit what I was looking for here with the Purdue playbook. So we switched him out. We got an air raid coach. We're going to keep the DC because he fits our defensive scheme. And I think he's easily our best coordinator. So we're going to keep that still. But other than that, we're going to sim through this Mayo Bowl, and I'll show you guys next week. As we head into the off season here, the first plan of attack is always the players leaving. Unfortunately for us, we're losing very important pieces here. First of all, our star tackle, Rashad Bruce, he's leaving for the draft. Coffee here, our star safety, just transferred in last year. He's leaving because of brand exposure. Our freshman receiver, Talbot, who was supposed to take over, unfortunately is leaving because of playing style. Freshman corner, Barnes here, who was supposed to fill in next season, unfortunately he's leaving because of playing time. Now we've got some other guys graduating here. Star edge rusher, Bosby here, fantastic off the edge. Had the most sacks on our team. He's graduating, probably going to get drafted. Quarterback, Brady Hart, was good for us. Unfortunately, got injured a ton. He's going to get drafted as well. We've got a safety here, Doris. He was fantastic for us. He's getting drafted round 1. Penson, our best corner, he's getting drafted. And then the man on the other side of Bruce, Luther, he's getting drafted as well. So our entire outside of the offensive line, they're going off to the draft. So we're going to have to rebuild that in the transfer portal. And I will sim to the transfer portal. And as we head into week 1 of the transfer portal here, I've already gone on and set up my board. And half our board's already filled out with the prospects who have committed out of high school. But the rest of it is the guys who are going to fill in the positions of need. Starting with our backup quarterback, we already know based off last season who's going to be our starter. So we've brought in another one here. We're looking to get a backup for him just in case he gets injured. So we got a 4-star here. We've got another one just in case he doesn't want to come to our school. But we've got other positions to fill out the holes and maybe get a star in the making
as we go for a national championship this season. Running back, receiver, offensive lineman, because that was a big need after we lost our 2 top guys to the draft. Edge rusher to fill in for our star edge rusher, Bosby, last season. And then more help in the secondary as we got depleted to the draft. And we lost our best safety, Coffee, to the transfer portal. Now, other than that, I'm going to sim to the end of the transfer portal and show you guys who we get on our squad. And after 4 weeks of the transfer portal, I was able to sign most of the guys on our board as I ended up extending our board to 35 players. However, did not get the 4-star quarterback, did not get this 4-star tackle, this 4-star edge rusher, 4-star safety, and this 3-star quarterback that I was going after. However, we did get some good players. 3-star tight end, 3-star safety. We did end up getting a quarterback, this 3-star here. Got some extra guys on the line, both offensive and defensive. Got some in the secondary. More help on the offensive line. They'll likely be starters this season. And just a bunch of other depth pieces to fill out holes on this roster. So things are looking good so far. We have a very good class as we're inside the top 10 here at number 7 with 30 total recruits. So it's our first real good season there inside the recruiting class. But other than that, we've got to head into our final season. Season 6. The final season of this rebuild, our final chance to go out and win a national championship. That starts with the team. Who are we going to take to the national championship game? Starting off here, we're running it back, 99 overall team, our best team that we've had this entire rebuild, and it starts with the quarterback. 92 overall, Marcus Tripucka, our backup last year, has improved, gotten a ton of abilities, and he should have a fantastic season. Now for our running backs. Kind of stayed the same in the backfield. We have very solid running backs here. Transfer Bourne and his backup Lockett should be a dynamic duo this year. We've got a elusive back here, and we've got a bruiser who should be good in the passing game on third downs. Wide receiver room, still similar to last year's. We've got Karamora and Handy returning, but we brought in a fantastic upgrade for our wide receiver 1, Warrior. He should be a good target for us over the middle of the field. He should be able to get us our first downs and keep things moving. We also upgraded Handy to a 98 speed. So we're going to use him this year for our downfield targets. He should be able to catch a ton of long touchdowns this season. Tight end stayed the same. The best tight end in the country. Overalls don't matter to me. Ezekiel Cross has easily been the best tight end in the country. Now our offensive line. The best offensive line we have ever had. Even after losing our 2 best tackles to the draft, we now have 99 Bruce Lane here at left tackle. Right next to him at left guard, 95 overall Diamond. Up the middle, a 99 center. Transfer Pascal, he's fantastic for us up the middle. To the right of him at the right guard position, 93 overall Tobin, a transfer from last year, upgraded up to a 93. And then on the right side, 90 overall Willis. He is going to be fantastic this season, as our offensive line is easily the best we've ever had. Should be able to give a clean pocket for our quarterback and get our receivers open. Edge rushers, they took a step back last year after we lost Bosby, but we brought in great replacements for him. We have Willis, 84 overall. On the other side, we've got Buck, 81 overall. They should be fantastic in passing downs as they both have elite pocket disruptor. Defensive tackles up the middle, we brought back Ben Mazzo. He was fantastic for us last year. He should do the exact same thing. And even if he gets injured, he has a great freshman backup here, 88 overall Dunham. Going to be a good up the middle combo. Linebackers, Kyle Abbott here. He's been the star for a couple of years. He comes back at a 96 overall. He is fantastic up the middle with 95 speed. At Mike, 85 Willis here, returning once again. Another fantastic player at the linebacker position. Another returner here, Wall. Fantastic for us last year. Was in the backfield a ton, dropping back in coverage. He's going to do fantastic as our linebackers are the best we've ever had. Now in the secondary, at the corner position, Hamrick, who we brought in last year, up to a 98 overall. And across the field from him, Waddy. He is fantastic as well, 94 overall. And then we've got 88, 87, 87. After losing almost all of our safeties last year, we brought in a solid duo in the backside. We've got, I believe you pronounce it Lanovoy. I could be wrong, but he's up to an 88 overall. At the strong safety, we have Key here, 85 overall. A very solid duo in the backside at the safety position. So this team is easily the best we've ever had, but we've got to look at the schedule here. Now, it's a little interesting as this is probably our easiest schedule we've ever had. We only play 2 ranked games, but it is very good teams. Notre Dame at number 1. We play them every season. We need to win this rivalry game. Our other ranked opponent, Week 7 versus Oregon. It is at home, just like the Notre Dame game. So hopefully we can take advantage of those games and ride that momentum into the playoffs. We follow that Penn State, Michigan State, Northwestern, Illinois, Nebraska, and Indiana. So 2 rivalry games in Week 12 and Week 14. Should win those games to get us into the playoffs, but I'm confident that this team can get it done. But the only way to find that out is if we sim through the season. So let's head to Week 1. Now heading into Week 1 here against an FCS school. Should be an easy game, but I'm going to give you guys the only update on recruiting this season. Since it is our last season, I don't really need to do recruiting, but I'm going to do it anyway just in case. But here we've got a quarterback, a couple of running backs, a couple of receivers, offensive linemen to replace our stars who are graduating this year. Edge rushers, we need that big thumper on the defensive line. Linebacker to replace Abbott, who's leaving after this year. Defensive help, and obviously safety help. So that's my board, but I'm going to sim to the Notre Dame game where we'll jump in and play our first of the ranked teams on our schedule. Now, heading into this game here against Notre Dame, our first of 2 ranked matches this season, and our first of 3 rivalry games this season. So this is easily our most important game of the season, as that fits both categories. So we're going to have to come out here on offense, go down and score about 1,000,000 times, and then get 1,000,000 more stops on defense. Should be a good game. Should be our toughest game on the schedule. But I think we're ready for it with our best team of this entire rebuild. To start the second quarter here, we'll be inside the Notre Dame 15, and we'll drop back to pass, get a quick screen out there. This time it's Lockett. Lockett's got a lot of running room, and we're in the end zone for a touchdown. A 4th and goal to save this game here. Hold Notre Dame out of the end zone. Trying to get closer to the line. It looks like they'll go with the keeper with the quarterback once again, and he dives to the end zone for a touchdown. A solid drive looks to end in 3 points now. 4th and 5. It's a perfect kick. 10-7. And we'll be forced to punt it right back on a 3 and out. A very solid punt from our punter there. Kind of trucks the Notre Dame returner, but he's able to make another man miss. It's our punter left, and he just airmails the tackle as Het's returned for a touchdown. We've got 3 timeouts still, but we're looking to get into the end zone for a touchdown. We'll drop back to pass. We've got a receiver open over the middle. Carmore's in the end zone for a touchdown. We just called our first timeout, looking to make the kicker, and it's right down the middle. That's perfect. 2nd and 1 now inside the 20 this time. We need a touchdown on this drive, so we'll drop back to pass. We'll find a man over the middle, get the first down. We got a good block there from our receiver, and Warrior pushes his way into the end zone. Notre Dame, 1 play left to save the game. They'll go back to a pass once more. We've got the tight end locked up. They're going for an end zone shot. But he's pushed out of bounds, and the game is over. We get the win versus Notre Dame in back-to-back years. And that is a fantastic start to our season as we beat the number 2 team in the country. Now, as we reach mid-season here, I want to give you guys a quick update. We are 10th in the country now at 5-1. And you would think, oh, we probably lost to Ohio State or Oregon. No, we lost to an unranked Wisconsin team who is currently 3-0 in conference play, having their best season in this rebuild. Now, we are still doing good, though, as we did beat Notre Dame, South Alabama, Ohio State, and Oregon. So things are still going smoothly so far. We just can't mess up coming out of this bye versus Penn State, a now ranked Michigan State team. Northwestern, our 2 rivalry matches, or Nebraska. So it's still going to be tough as we go throughout this season, as now we have a new ranked opponent in a 6-0 Michigan State team, but it still should be a huge overall difference, and we should be able to get a win there. But like I said, losing at Wisconsin is our random loss that happens in every single rebuild, but we just need to turn around and go win in the second half of the season. Now, other than that, we're going to sim to week 12 where we will play Illinois, and I'll give you guys another update. Now, heading into week 12 here against Illinois, another rivalry game that we've got to jump in and play. Should be an easy one as Illinois has lost all 6 conference games. But other than that, we got to take a look at our schedule here, as we're up to the number 4 team in the country after winning 3 straight games in a row against Penn State, Michigan State, and Northwestern. So it's good for us so far, and I believe we're at the top of the conference now. And yes, we are 5-1 in conference play. We have the head-to-head record over Oregon, so we're at the top of the conference now. Now we just need one of those teams to maybe slip up, and we need to just keep on winning. We're going to head into this Illinois game looking for our 6th conference win of the season. Heading into this game here against Illinois, looking to get another conference win on this season, looking to get another rivalry win on this season. Should be our easiest test against Illinois, who's a much inferior team to us. However, still a rivalry matchup at their place, so we can lose any matchup. But this should really be a tune-up game for both our offense and our defense. We're going to go in here and play our best game. The first 4th down of this game, 4th and goal now. We're going to look for Handy's name on the outside. We're going to drop back to pass. Can't find him to get open originally. We'll just take a dump off to the running back. We've got a lot of running room, and we're into the end zone for a touchdown. Illinois has to take a field goal now. It's tough in this game to kick a field goal this short, but that one's good. Bourne here. We'll come into the backfield, 2nd and goal. We'll motion him out to the right. We'll drop back to pass, and then we'll dump it off here to Bourne. And we've got a free running lane to the end zone for a touchdown. Illinois looking to make this a one-possession game again. Their kicker this time on the right hash. And that's good. 3rd and goal now. We cannot mess up this opportunity. We'll drop back to pass. Illinois sends a blitz. We'll go with a quick dump off here, but that's a touchdown. After the pass interference penalty in the end zone, we will have 1st and goal from the 1. We'll go with a handoff here to Lockett. And they'll make it a 28-9 lead for Purdue. A quarterback run gets them inside the red zone now, and they'll drop back to pass. They'll go with the tight end over the middle, and that's a touchdown. Brings up 3rd and 5 for Illinois. We're going to send in a blitz here. They're going to drop back to pass. They're going deep downfield, and I didn't mean to switch onto the corner. I don't know what to say anymore. Illinois is just playing a perfect game on offense. They'll drop back to pass now. They'll find a man on an out route, and we're just getting burnt at this point. Another juke and a touchdown. 4th and 3 to take the lead here. And it just squeaks in for 3. Here on this drive, looking to score a touchdown to put this game away and looking to waste as much clock time as we can. We'll go with a run here on 1st down. Bourne has a huge running lane on the outside. He's got enough speed to get to the end zone, I believe, and yes, he does. We need a stop here. Nobody can get burned on the outside. They'll drop back to pass, but everything's covered up. They've got a man over the middle of the field, and it's another touchdown. We'll go with a handoff here on 2nd down to Bourne, and that will end the game as Bourne gets the 1st down. And finally, this game will come to an end. The most stressful game of this rebuild that should not have been. Illinois should not have made it that close, but we'll get a win 38-36. Here, our final rivalry game of this rebuild versus Indiana at Indiana. Now, after beating Illinois in that crazy rivalry game, we would head back home and beat Nebraska 31-17 in what clinched our Big Ten championship appearance
as we are the only 7-1 team in conference, and we also have a 10-1 overall record. So even if we were to lose this game, we would still have the overall record over everybody in our conference, and we would be in the Big Ten championship. But we don't want to stop there at just 10 wins. We want to go out, get our 11th win on the season, our 8th conference win of the season against Indiana. So we're going to go ahead and jump into the game. Now, heading into this game here against Indiana, the final rivalry game of this rebuild, unless we face Notre Dame in the playoff if they make it there. But I believe when we checked earlier this season, they already had 4 losses, so that should have already knocked them out of the playoff. That's not what we're focused on. We're focused on this one and final game against Indiana, who, like I said, against Illinois is a much inferior opponent. 4th and goal now for Indiana. The field goal is right down the middle. 1st and 10. They're going with an RPO. That could have been an interesting block there, but they're into the end zone for a touchdown. And 3rd and 1. Motion out Bourne, and we're going to throw it to Bourne. Bourne's got a huge running lane on the sideline. I think he has enough speed to go to the end zone. That should take us to the end of the first quarter, but I'd like to get a playoff here. Try to get one to jump, but we can't do that. But we'll find a receiver over the middle. North has got a huge running lane, and we'll score a touchdown before the end of the first quarter. 1st and goal now from the 1. Indiana looking to cash in for 6. We go with a run up the middle, and we push him forward. We're going to bring both backs into the game, but we're only going to move out one of them. We got enough time to scramble, and then we're just going to throw it into the back of the end zone. And what a catch! I believe that's North. 3 yards on 1st down brings up an Indiana 2nd and 7. They'll drop back to pass. They'll dump it off to the tight end, and there's another pancake block as he's able to make a man miss, able to break another tackle. And what else? They break every single tackle, juke inside, juke outside, and they're going to the end zone for a long touchdown. Looking to cause some havoc here for Indiana. They're going to drop back to pass. We've got most of the field covered up. They're going one-on-one, jump ball in the back of the end zone. And, of course, it's deflected down and caught by another person. A field goal here to end the half. Should be good. Right down the middle. 31-24. 3rd and 3 now for our offense. We'll drop back to pass. We've got a man wide open. Handy makes a man miss. He's going way downfield. He's got too much speed for them. Looking to capitalize on this drive here. A solid run from Chapuka gets us inside the 1. We'll go with a handoff now to Bourne. He fights his way to the end zone. Now on 1st and 10 across midfield, we're just going to go with a running back handoff here. Lockett's got a block, a beautiful block, and he's cutting back outside, and we're going to take a 2-touchdown lead. We're approaching the final minutes in this game. Indiana down by 2 scores, still hasn't used a timeout yet, but we'll go with a handoff here to Bourne. He's got a huge running lane up the middle, and he's going for another touchdown. And Indiana made it close as they scored 31 points in the first half. But that's not enough as we put up 51. And we'll get our final rivalry win of this rebuild as we head into the Big Ten championship and the college football playoffs. After that big win in the final week of the season versus Indiana, we are set up here in the Big Ten championship game to face off in what's a revenge game against USC. A couple of years ago, we played in the Big Ten championship with Jackson Arnold at quarterback, but we played against the same USC team, and here in the final year of the rebuild, and we're going to hop in and watch the final 3 minutes of the fourth quarter. All right, we'll jump in here. 5 minutes left in the game. A 3rd and 12 for our offense as we currently lead 14-12. Looks like we're going to motion over cross, and then we're going to drop back to pass. We're going deep down the middle of the field, and it's picked off. That's actually the edge of the field, closer to the sideline. Looking for somebody to come up big here. Our defense needs our best stop of the game. First and 10, they're going to go with a handoff here. He's able to find a ton of space on the outside. He's got a first down. He's across midfield now. He's over 100 yards rushing, and it looks like USC is going to hurry things up. Don't want to waste any time off this clock. It looks like they're setting up 5 wide here, but they're going to move the back into the backfield to the left of the quarterback. Approaching 4 minutes now here for USC. They're going to drop back to pass on first and 10. They're going to try and scramble, but he's taken down from behind. We get our first sack on the game. The quarterback goes down. What a play there for our defense. 2nd and 11 now. USC might be inside field goal range, so they probably don't have to be too aggressive, but they're going to go with a quick pass to the outside that gets that yard back that they lost on the previous play. 3rd and 10 now for USC. They're going to drop back to pass, take a quick dump off, but it's broken up. USC is going to attempt a long field goal here. It looks to be 52 yards. It's up, and I think he drilled it right down the middle, and USC has their first lead of the game. Our offense, though, 3.5 minutes and 3 timeouts. They've got the firepower to get it done. Tripucka drops back. He's got a man underneath, but it's broken up. Actually, he was caught. It seemed like the ball popped out too quick, but it was maintained there. We've got a 2nd and 1 now. We're going to go play action. Tripucka's got a huge running lane up the middle, but he's going to try and find a man downfield. And instead of taking the free first down, he's just going to run out of bounds and go backwards. I don't understand the play there from Tripucka. But now we are 3rd down. Tripucka dropping back to pass again. He takes the dump off to the running back, and a burst of speed gets him the first down. What a play there from Lockett. Gets the first down, and now we're going 5 wide here. 2 minutes and 43 seconds left in this game. They're dropping back to pass. They're going towards the middle of the field, and it's overthrown. A decent ball there that's just thrown over the head of the receiver. Tripucka looking for his magical moment here in the Big Ten Championship. He goes with a dump off, and that could have been picked. It's broken up. A big 3rd and 10 now here for Purdue's offense. Tripucka looking to get on the board here. He goes with a pass to the outside, but it's run out of bounds. So it's solid for us, but we need more than that. 2nd and 14, Tripucka dropping back to pass. He's got a man over the middle of the field. Cross is able to hold on to the ball. 1st and goal from the 5. We need to cash in here and get the 2-point conversion. 1:30 left in this game. They're going to hand it off to Lockett in the backfield. He musters his way through down to the 3. 2nd and goal from the 3. Inside 1:30 now. They're going to bring Bourne into the game. They're going to hand it off to Bourne. He's got a burst of speed to the end zone for a touchdown. And we respond to USC's field goal with a touchdown of our own, and a 2-point conversion could give us a 7-point lead. And we're taking the PAT to take a 6-point lead. USC still hurrying things up even after an incompletion. They're going to drop back to pass. Throw it downfield, and it's intercepted. An interception. And we might take this back to the house. He's got another burst of speed, and we're going to take a 2-touchdown lead. Lenovoy with a pick 6 in the Big Ten Championship game. And we're going to find ourselves in the college football playoff for the first time in this rebuild. What a play there. And I don't think USC has a chance with 52 seconds left and a timeout. 17 seconds left from midfield. They've got to go to the end zone now. And I think they're looking for it. He's going to step up in the pocket, but he takes a 2-yard rush there. I don't understand what USC is trying to do here. 5, 4, 3. They've got to go to the end zone now. The game is over. They cannot get 13 points on one play. He's just going to go with a rush. And Purdue has won the Big Ten Championship for the first time in this rebuild. 28-15, your final score. and we are going to see you in the college football playoffs. Now, after a Big Ten championship win against USC, we were able to get a bye in the first week of the college football playoffs. And now, here in week 2, we're going to head to the Rose Bowl where we'll play number 7 Pittsburgh. Now, we'll jump into this drive here. Pitt 2nd and 1 now from just shy of the 30. They'll go with a handoff here, but he goes backwards. And as I've been watching this game here, our offense has been fantastic. We started this game a little slow with 3 straight field goals. Pitt had a field goal of their own, but other than that, their offense has just been way too slow, and our defense has played near perfect football. But they did get across midfield here. They're hurrying things up, trying to make a comeback in this game. But with 3 minutes left and 3 timeouts, down by 23 points. I don't know what they have left in the tank, and oh my. They're in the backfield in an instant, and he's taken down for a sack, and they're still trying to hurry things up, but their receivers are 30 yards down the field. 2nd and 16 inside 3 minutes now for Pitt. They need a miracle. They need 3 straight touchdowns. All of them got to end in 2-point conversions. They'll go with a dump off here, but he's just shy of that first down marker. He tries to fight for it. Held now 3rd and 1 here for Pitt. Their season on the line. They need a miracle. Drops back to pass. The lefty quarterback finds a man over the middle. He's able to fight for some extra yards. Pitt still showing fight here late in this game. They're hurrying things up now, 1st and 10, just before the 2-minute warning. They'll get a playoff. Drops back. He's got a man towards the end zone, but it's dropped. A good punch out there from our defense. 2nd and 10. The final play, most likely before the 2-minute warning for Pitt. Dropping back to pass. Another sack for our defense. Way too quick off the edge there is our defensive line. And that will take us to the 2-minute warning. And as soon as I start spectating here, our defensive line is just in the backfield every play. Now they're starting 5 wide here. They're dropping back to pass, but it's another sack as our defense went from 0 sacks at the start of the 4th quarter to 4 in this quarter alone. 4th and 23, Pitt season on the line. Here in the Rose Bowl, they drop back to pass. They find a man underneath. Can he get to the first down marker? What a play call. On 4th and 23, they get the conversion. And they're hurrying things up here. Looking for the end zone, looking for 6 points here to end this drive. We'll go with a handoff here. He's able to get to the outside, but he's taken down. A good tackle there from our safety. Only holds him to 2 yards. They're inside the 15, though. Just shy of that 10-yard line. 2nd and 8. The lefty drops back to pass. Tries to find a man in the back of the end zone. He throws it to 4 Purdue defenders, but it's just batted out the back of the end zone. 3rd and 8 now for Pitt. Motioning number 24 inside. He'll go back outside. They'll take a dump off to him, but a good tackle there as he's dropped. Only a yard gain there. 4th and 7 for Pitt. Another pass here as they go out empty backfield. They're going for an end zone shot, but it is swatted down. A pass breakup there will end Pitt's season. We'll go with an RPO here, and will Pitt use any of their timeouts? It does not look like it. Down to 30 seconds left in the game. Pitt has given up at this point, and we are going to be victorious here in the Rose Bowl as we'll get our first college football playoff win of this rebuild, and we will advance to the next round where we will play the winner of Florida USC. A fantastic game from both our offense and our defense, and a great tune-up game as we head into the next round of the playoffs.
Now heading into the next round of the college football playoffs here. We're taking on USC in a rematch of the Big Ten Championship in the Cotton Bowl. But first, before we jump in, I want to take a look at the bracket and see who we would play in the next round. as it looks like on the other side of the bracket, number 1 Miami would get the win against Baylor, and number 4 Georgia would get the win against Ole Miss. So in a revenge game here against number 11 USC, if we were to come out on top, we would play the winner of Miami, Georgia in the national championship. But we can only figure that out if we play against USC and win our second game against them this season. And we're going to jump into this game. 3rd and 4 inside 4 minutes now for our offense. Looking to ice this game here as we put up a ton of points here on USC. But unfortunately, Bourne's going to go backwards, and we're going to have to take a field goal here to take a 17-point lead, and that ball's down the middle. USC is going to have to get 3 scores in less than 4 minutes here. Less than 3 minutes and 30 seconds on the clock now. Looking to punch our ticket here to the national championship. We need a stop here versus USC. They're going to pass on first down. They're going to roll out right and throw down field, but a deflected ball as it was slightly overthrown there from the USC quarterback. 2nd and 10 now for USC. They're dropping back to pass once again. Stepping up in the pocket, dropping it off here to the tight end. He's able to step out of bounds, but a 4-yard gain there doesn't get him much closer. They haven't reached the 30 yet. They're going to need a deep ball here. Dropping back to pass, moving around in the pocket, scrambling around. He takes a dump off, gets the first down, and keeps the drive moving. A good job there from the USC quarterback to get out of trouble and just take the first down. But they're inside 3 minutes now. They're running out of time. Another check down for USC. Gets blown up. We've got a ton of guys there to blow it up. Only a 5-yard gain there for USC. Hurrying things up here as they know they're running low on time. 2nd and 5, dropping back to pass once again. But we're in the backfield already. A sack for Frederick Wall. USC still hurrying things up, but their receivers are probably really far downfield. It's going to be tough to get back to the line, but they're going to go with a deep shot here, and they're going to get all those yards back. But it's 4th and inches. USC's season on the line. 4th and inches, just shy of midfield. They're going to motion a receiver inside, go with a handoff, but it's blown up in the backfield. A turnover on downs, and our offense is going to come back onto the field looking to ice this game. Let's start with a handoff to Bourne, but that goes nowhere. Staying home on first down with a rush back to the line of scrimmage. Looking for more here to ice this game. Another run here to Bourne. He's got enough space to beat the defender. He's got a first down inside the 25. Inside the 2-minute warning now, and USC's got 3 timeouts left to hold this game. But unfortunately for them, down 31-14. Their season is soon coming to an end. 1st and 10 now, inside a minute 20. We're just going to run this game out here. A handoff to Bourne, a hurdle, and a chuck as he goes flying just shy of that first down marker. He gets over 50 yards rushing on this game. But we're inside a minute. USC's not using their timeouts. A quick dump off here to Ezekiel Cross. But a 4-touchdown performance from Tripucka in this game is going to send us to the national championship in year 6. The 3 words we've been waiting to hear all season. National championship week. We're finally in the national championship playing against number 1 ranked 15-0 undefeated Miami. Now this is easily going to be our toughest matchup of the entire rebuild, as obviously Miami's 15-0, first ranked in the world. But they also have the Heisman winner. He had almost 2,000 yards from scrimmage with 28 rushing touchdowns. Gil Dutton, he's going to be a problem, so we've got to put all of our focus here in the run game. But we can't forget about the passing game, as obviously they're 15-0. They have to have a good passing game in order to be this far in the tournament. But the only way to find out is to jump in and watch the final couple minutes of the game. Starting here, first and goal from the 9 here for Miami, looking to take their first lead of the national championship. They're dropping back to pass. He's got a lot of time here in the pocket. He's going to scramble. He's into the end zone for a touchdown, and Miami takes their first lead of the national championship with a PAT. A chip shot here for the lead, and it's money. Marcus Tripucka looking for the drive of his life here with 4 minutes and 11 seconds left. They're going to start with a handoff to Bourne, a spin off there. He's able to get a couple yards out of that play that should have gone backwards. 2nd and 8 now for Tripucka. Going with an empty backfield here, and he's going to drop back to pass. A route over the middle. He's able to complete it. It's a fumble. 3rd and 1. Tripucka handing it off to Lockett, but Lockett goes backwards. 4th and 1, and they're going to send out the punt team. Purdue punting here down by 1 in the national championship. I don't think he's going to be able to get a return here, as Miami will start from the 26, looking to chop off as much clock as they possibly can here. 1st and 10 inside 3 minutes. They're going to go with an RPO here, and he's got a lot of room as he gets a first down. Good start there for Miami. Miami going to keep things going here as they approach midfield. Looking to at least kick a field goal to take a 4-point lead. They're going to go with a handoff to the Heisman, but he's got a huge running lane down the side of the field, and he's tackled by the last man as Purdue is taking their first timeout. Miami well within field goal range now. A quick pass over the middle. They're inside the red zone now. They might score a touchdown to take an 8-point lead. Purdue, after not being down the entire game, we jump in and watch here. They immediately give up a touchdown, and it looks like they're about to give off a second as the Heisman winner breaks a ton of tackles there, and he's inside the 5. Purdue, out of timeouts, 2nd and goal for Miami. Motion a receiver inside. They're going to go with a handoff to the Heisman winner, and he's into the end zone for a touchdown as Miami scores 2 touchdowns in the 4th quarter. The PAT to take an 8-point lead is right down the middle. Purdue with one more shot. No timeouts in the 2-minute warning. But that does not go anywhere. Blocking not good up front. They'll start their drive. 1st and 10 from the 18. Tripucka dropping back to pass. He's got a man over the middle. 5 yards on first down. And they'll hit the 2-minute warning here. Coming out of the 2-minute warning here. 2nd and 5 from the 23. Tripucka dropping back to pass. He's got a ton of time in the pocket. He's going deep downfield, but a high throw is punched out. Karamora unable to come down with it. Brings up a 3rd and 5. The season on the line. Tripucka's dropping back to pass. A man over the middle. A completion to North for a first down. And this drive keeps moving along. Empty backfield now for Tripucka. Looking for his magical moment in this season. A slant over the middle. A burst of speed there. We're across midfield. It's Handy with the first down. Here at the 45, we're driving down the field. Need to find the end zone here. Switching up the play now is Tripucka. He'll drop back to pass. He's going deep down the field, but it's broken up. Good play there from the Miami defender. 2nd and 10 now. 1:15 left in this game. 75 seconds to make something happen. Dropping back to pass. A route over the middle is complete. Tripucka over 300 yards passing now. hurrying things up once again. Lock it in the backfield. Another pass here. He's looking deep downfield. He's got a man, and we're in the end zone. Oh no. We're short at the 1. Down at the 1. Looking to punch our ticket into the end zone and attempt a 2-point try to tie this game. Tripucka with Lockett in the backfield. He's going to drop back to pass. Going to the back of the end zone for a touchdown. Now we need a 2-point try. Brings up the 2-point try to tie the game at 24. Tripucka, they're sending a blitz. He's dumping it off, and we've tied the game at 24. 1st and 10 from the 25 for Miami. Defense needing the biggest stop of their life. They're going to drop back to pass. He's going over the middle of the field, but it's punched out as he threw it into 4 Purdue players. Punch down, 2nd and 10. Miami motioning a receiver inside. They're going to go with a play action, dump it off to the running back, but it's dropped. 3rd and 10 now for Miami. Purdue could get the ball back here in the 4th quarter to try a field goal of their own. Dropping back to pass, we're sending a blitz. It's deep over the middle of the field, and it's completed across midfield. The last thing that could happen there, as all rebuild long, our 3rd down defense has been atrocious, and it's biting us here in the national championship. Another dump off here as they get inside the 40 now. It's going to be a long field goal, but it's definitely doable. They'll go with play action here, and they're definitely in field goal range now. 1st and 10 across the 30. Purdue's magical run might come to an end here in the national championship. They'll go with a handoff here. I think at this point they're just putting it in the spot that they want to go. They're taking a timeout here with 5 seconds left. Looking to win the national championship. 2nd and 9. The kick is up. And it hits the post and goes in. A doink is going to win Miami the national championship. We do have 2 seconds left, but I don't know what magic is left in the tank here for Purdue. A doink to win the national championship is not how I thought this rebuild would end. They're going to take it out of the end zone here. And the game is over. Miami wins the national championship. And unfortunately, in year 6, we cannot get it done as we lose on a doink. The game is over. National championship is over. This rebuild is over.